Alexis. How are you? How is everyone doing out there?
Hello. I'm wonderful. How are you?
Good. It's Thursday. And you know what today is? It's Corner Office Chats.
Sure
So
is.
tell us, Alexis, what is the topic of the day?
Today, we are talking about how to stay committed and productive at work without losing our sanity. Isn't that the goal, people, right? So often,
Yeah.
right? We feel productive. We feel like we're committed, but is that coming at a cost of your mental health, or is that coming at a cost of the quality of life that you're living right now? So we've got a couple big ideas to share with you, and why this is really an important conversation.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because I know, speaking to everyone in the chats, right, in the DMs, that's what people are talking about. It's staying focused, staying confident, staying productive, and all of this ties together to being really what is your what's your commitment to? Commitment is to say the words right, Mehreen. And you know what, the pillars that we always focus on is making sure that you have clarity, making sure that you have the confidence, that you're connected to what it is that you're doing, and you have the connection created with your team or your community, and then being completely committed to it. So if you don't have all of those four things, those pillars as your base of leading with conviction, then that's where you start to fall off, right? Mm-hmm. So that's where you start to fall off in your leadership. You start falling behind, you get burned out, overwhelmed. So this is a really great topic. So let's start with the first tip.
Yeah. So the first one we have for you guys is really to identify your personal work patterns and figure out your 2 peak hours. Now, this is so important because we're all different. We are all wired differently. We have different work environments right now. Some of us are working remotely. Some of us might be just maybe heading back into the office, or maybe you never left. But we all have different circumstances and conditions around us right now for work. So instead of just saying, put this system in place or wake up at 5 a.m. or do these things, we really operate with what's going to work best for you and your current circumstance. This could change in 6 months. This could change in a year from now. What's important is that you're conscious and you're aware of your personal work patterns and what works for you, your job or your business, your family, right? So what does that look like? Thinking about the situations that exist around you right now, from the time you wake up until, the time you punch out, and hopefully you all have a punch out time where you're shutting that laptop, you're turning things off. What is your best optimal personal work pattern look like for you?
Yeah, this is also important as seasons change, right, Alexis? Like many of you moms are going into the summertime where your kids are home all the time. If they weren't doing virtual learning, now they're not going to be preoccupied doing anything else. So, and the days are longer. So you want to be spending time out, and you've got to expand your energy across the longer days, right? During the daylight hours. So how do you start to do that? What do you look at with where your peak hours are at? I know for myself, if I get the right amount of sleep, it's not the first thing in the morning that works for me. It's just about midday, probably from 9 o'clock to about noon that I work really well. And then again, after 3 or 4 in the evenings when I'm not being distracted. So that's been those are my peak hours. And I try to block those off to do the things that I really need to work on for the day or for the week.
Yeah, so that's okay. And I think too, that the idea around here is that mindset piece of sometimes we feel like if we're not productive all day long, then, we didn't do what we were supposed to do this day. But here's the thing. If you're productive all day long, doing all the things every minute of your workday, that's the quickest road to burnout, right? So you want to make sure there's things that we can do that don't require a ton of mental energy, that don't require a ton of physical exertion, answering emails, things like this, administrative work. We want to schedule those on those off-peak hours, and then identifying, and this is where that planning comes in and being really intentional, using your time well, is that what are the things that really need your focus, or maybe your emotions need to be even keeled to make a certain decision, or let's say something just takes a lot of mental stamina to get through. That's what you want to reserve those 2 peak hours for. Maybe you have to have a really tough conversation and you want to put that in your peak hours so that you are showing up as your best self in that conversation with your boss, your team member, your, whatever, your client, right? I would never want to schedule a client call on during a time when I knew that I wasn't going to be at my best mentally and physically, right? I try to really avoid, unless I absolutely can't because it's the client's schedule, I always try and do my client calls either mid-morning or mid-afternoon, because for me, like you, Mehreen, is the time where I feel most alert. My ability to focus and be present is like on point. If I had to schedule it at 6 o'clock or 9 o'clock or 8 o'clock, like I could do it, but I'm not going to be at my best.
Yeah. So for the listeners out there, really pay attention day by day. Notice, when is it that you're most productive? When do you feel mostly drained? And what causes that drain? When you're also looking at your work week, are you factoring in time so that you can do other things that you enjoy so that you can continue to stay productive? So that leads into our next tip.
Yeah. So find meaning in your task. Big tasks, small tasks, easy ones, difficult ones. If you cannot attach some sort of meaning into why you're doing something, then you shouldn't be doing it, right? If you can't find meaning into it, it's just like that autopilot. Maybe it is something that has to get done, but you don't have to be the one doing it. But if you can't find meaning in those tasks, you're never going to be able to keep up that high performing level for the long term. And that's what we're after here. We don't want to just be productive for the day or this week or this quarter. We want to be able to build this as our sort of work lifestyle, if you will, that you are consistently productive and committed. And part of that lies in what meaning are we putting in the work and we are putting on in the work that we're doing. So this might be reminding yourself daily of that why you started your business, why you chose the career path that you're on, why, what is that motivating factor, or that bigger picture of the goal that you're working on. How does this seemingly maybe menial task, or maybe not such a fun task, how does this connect with you achieving that bigger goal that you have set for yourself? What piece of this is the bigger puzzle? It doesn't matter how small the piece is. If you're missing one, right, you have an incomplete picture. So how can you remind yourself of your why, or connect this task to that bigger picture of the goal or the dream that you're trying to pursue?
Right. There's things that we have to do in our business or in our workplace that we don't always want to do, or for that matter, things at home, doing dishes, doing laundry. There's so many things that we need to do, but we find meaning in it because we're building a home, we're building a business, we're creating flow, right? So know what the outcome is, rather than being, like Alexis said, the emotion of what you're generating, being connected to that is really the key to staying productive. Because of course, think about it. I know my kids, when they're frustrated, we were just talking about them, is that if they're just going to be like, I don't know, whatever, then they are literally like trudging along, like very, very slowly, like in molasses, to get things done. But when they're like, yes, I want to get this because I'm going to get paid or whatever, I'm going to do this, then it's a whole nother way of functioning. Whatever the meaning is for them, that I can go buy that, Huda Beauty makeup palette that they want. I have daughters that are teenagers. Sorry, that's their priorities right now. So if that means that they can go buy that $60 palette, it's crazy. Then they put meaning behind what they're doing. Now that's that intrinsic. I'm not even saying the word right. Extrinsic. Intrinsic. Well, the reward from the external award. Intrinsic is internal. Yeah, extrinsic, right? So that award that comes in, there's two that we talk about with our clients, but you want to know which one is it that you're tied to and build it towards that. I always stumble on that word.
And there's nothing wrong with extrinsic rewards. Not at all. I'm motivated by a paycheck. I'm motivated by a vacation to Hawaii. Like these extrinsic rewards, there is nothing wrong with that. So if, people always think but there should just be a balance of the two, because sometimes that extrinsic reward isn't enough in the moment, right? The intrinsic reward is that internal feeling that you get from, positive feeling that you get from doing something. You should also be able to tap into both sides. So, figuring out what those things are for yourself and for the dreams that you're trying to progress and the goals that you're trying to achieve. What's the meaning in the tasks that are allowing you to move forward in those areas?
Yeah.
Number 3, I love this. Schedule in spontaneity, right?
Why does this make you laugh all the time?
It just does, because you're not supposed to schedule, spontaneous and schedule are like the opposites of each other. But it makes me laugh, and I'm like, I do spontaneity, right? Because it is so important. You want to be able to still enjoy your work. You want to be able to enjoy your work day. And as much as, Mehreen and I are all about systems, processes, like we need things to be operating like a well-oiled machine, things that you can rely on. Yes. But there also has to be some fun in the day, some excitement, maybe something a little bit different. So I like to schedule in. Sometimes I just have a block or a buffer where there's nothing scheduled there, but it is blocked out that nobody can book a call, or I'm not going to put a meeting in there or anything like that. And then when that time comes, I'm like, oh, I have 30 minutes. And so I might go for a walk with my dog if it's a beautiful day. I might just go outside and sit outside and take a glass of water and sit for 20 minutes in the sun. Like, it just depends on what does it for you, what like fills up your cup or recharges you, or just you enjoy, schedule in that time throughout your week so that you can kind of feel like you do have that personal freedom. Because especially as a business owner, right? A lot of us go in because we want that personal freedom. We want to be able to create our own schedule, but then we feel like we're a slave to our business because we're doing the same thing over and over again every single day, day in, day out. And we feel like we're never like getting off the hamster wheel. So schedule in that time and be intentional about the time that you're putting on your schedule, and be like, maybe, you take some time off in the afternoon and you go out for ice cream with your kids, or, I pick up my kids when they're in school at 3:00. So sometimes I'll block off an extra time and be like, let's pop by the park on the way home. I have that time in my schedule because I put it there intentionally.
Yeah.
Right? And I surprise them with it. So now it's like, my eldest son who's in school, he just like, if we could go to a park every day of the week, he would just be in his element. He loves monkey bars, all those things. So we can't do it every single day. But then it's dual. It's excitement for me because I see how excited it gets him. And then 2, it gives me a little break from out of my office, out of these 4 walls, and I'm outside, maybe chatting with another mom or another dad in the playground. You get that. And that's only 30 minutes or 45 minutes. And then I'm back to it and finish out my workday.
Yeah. For me, I need that weekend where I don't schedule anything. So most of my weekend, Saturday and Sunday, for the most part, unless if I'm, have an appointment somewhere or something like that, I don't schedule anything. I like it to be free to do whatever. I don't want to look at my calendar, quite frankly, because I live and die by my calendar Monday through Friday. I need Saturday, Sunday to be just open to do whatever it is that I want or my family wants to do, right? That's really important to me.
Absolutely. And then that leads us to the last one. Number 4, being factor in self-care during the workday. We always hear about, what are you doing for self-care? It always tends to be after, in the evenings or on the weekends. And that is great. I'm not saying give up that self-care. That's important as well. But during the day, how are you renewing, replenishing your energy, your mental health during the day? So, example, you have a really challenging meeting, right? It's frustrating. The people on it, no one's listening to anybody. You're like super frustrated. All you want to do is get off the call because you've got other things to do. So what happens? You hang up the call because you're itching to start that next project, and then you just jump right in. But what happens is you bring all that negative energy into that next task, right? Instead, yeah, right? So instead of doing that, 2-3 minutes. I'm not saying you need to take a huge break and then, blow an hour of your day, but it's a matter of a couple of minutes. Maybe you get up, get away from the screen, right? We're all on screens. Like, I feel like I'm constantly on Zoom. Go grab a glass of water, throw on a 3-minute song that you love. Just, let the music take you away. Or if you can't, or that's not your thing, close your eyes, take a few deep breaths. I've shared this before, but I'll share it again because it is something that really helps me, and it's super simple, is if I'm frustrated by something, I close my eyes, I imagine the thing, the person, the situation that I'm frustrated, and I take a deep breath, and I literally imagine blowing that thought or that person or that situation out of my being, like just get it away from me. And I kind of sort of see it like when you let go of a balloon and it's like, whoo, and it's like, it sounds so ridiculous. And I know how silly sometimes it sounds, but it works for me. So find out what works for you. How can you let that frustration go? Or it may not even feel like negative. It's just, maybe it's excitement. Maybe it was a really great meeting and your mind is still there. Maybe you need to jot down a few notes about that or thoughts that you had during the meeting so that you can now move to the next task and be all in on that next task.
Yeah, this is absolutely key for increasing your productivity, to increase your intentionality so that you are really, really focused and confident in whatever it is that you're going into, whether it's a meeting, whether it's a work period that you have for yourself, a block time that you have for yourself. Setting that intention at the very beginning is going to be absolute key for that. And you know what, for that matter, it's any activity that you're going into, whether it's personal or it's work related. When you do that, take that 1 minute, 2 minutes just to recenter yourself and do that. I know it sounds, some people are like, what, meditate, whatever. It works. There's a reason why it works. And CEOs are practicing it every day. They hire coaches to help them and guide them through these things. So learn from those that are high performers that are out there doing the thing. If that's what you're striving to do, then start practicing this. It takes literally less than 2 minutes of your time.
Yeah, because stress is cumulative, right? Rarely do we just like lose our minds on one stressful event. It's like, the argument with the spouse in the morning and then running out of coffee cream, because that's my worst nightmare. Or, like it's a whole bunch of little things, little annoyances or little frustrations and they just add up and add up and add up and add up. And at the end of the day, if you don't have a complete, explosion on somebody in your family, you are completely exhausted, mentally drained. And what happens, guys? We're working all day long, 9 to 5, whatever your typical working days are. And then who gets the drained, exhausted, a little bit annoyed, a little bit frustrated version of you? The most important people in your life, your family, your partner, your kids, right? Or even yourself. Like if you're like, I have the evening off, but I'm in a foul mood. And so you're not even enjoying that time that you set aside for yourself. So how do you factor in that self-care throughout the day so that when you punch out, you get out of your office, you shut that door, you can now join your family and they get the best version of you, right? You take that few minutes to end your day. It's one thing I have been doing actually a lot lately. I've shared this before, when I was working outside of the home and I would sit in my car and do that little meditation. And I kind of got away from that because I feel like I'm now working from home full time, even teaching where it's all Zoom lectures and that kind of thing. But I kind of fell away from it because I'm in and out. Sometimes the kids are here, sometimes they're not. So I felt like I was going in and out of this office all day. But then at the end of the day, I wasn't really able to fully shut off, right? I'd go in and be like, okay, it's, for me, it's usually around 4:30. I start to get dinner ready and things like that. But I'm like, okay, these are all the things I have to do. Don't forget to do this. Don't forget to do that. And I'm taking that feeling now out there with my family. Instead of just closing the day out and being like, okay, I'm at peace with what happened today. These are the top things on my plate for tomorrow morning, or these are the things that I need to complete maybe after the kids have gone to bed. Because hey, that's a life of when you're in business for yourself, there's 9 to 5 isn't always the end of the workday, but I'm at least at peace from 4:30 until 8:30. I know that I can be present with my family.
Yeah.
And then maybe I got to pick it up after that. But Or maybe I just continue with my Dynasty Netflix binge. Either way, right? It's time for myself, or it's time to finish up the tasks that I need to do.
Yeah, these are all really great tips. Thank you, Alexis, for sharing. So to recap, what we went through today is how do you stay connected and productive throughout your work week? Is the first one we talked about was to find your 2-hour peak time and really discover when is it that it works for you. If it's in the mid-morning, early, for some people it's early morning, 5, 6 in the morning. For some it's in the mid-morning. And then you want to also look at when is it in the late afternoon, or if it's in the evening, when are those 2-hour peak times so that you can do the most impactful activities that you need your most focus on during those times. Number 2 is find meaning in your tasks. So really attach that meaning that drives you to do those tasks, right? So make sure that you're staying in tune. Why am I doing this? Why is it so important for me to get this done? That'll be your motivation to do it. It'll also start to reduce your procrastination. A lot of people deal with procrastination when you know that you need to get it done because there's something that you're striving after or someone's counting on you. Your procrastination starts to decrease and you start getting things done. The third thing we talked about is schedule in spontaneity, because if you're one of, like Alexis and I, when you like to do things that you just didn't plan because you live and die by your your calendar and you just need something to do that's just out of the routine, then schedule in that time. Don't schedule what it is, but make that time available for you to do whatever it is at the spur of the moment that you want to do. And maybe that's including your family in that as well. The fourth one we talked about is factor in self-care during the workday. So a lot of times we talk about doing it within the work week, but also many things during the workday. And that could be just a quick brisk walk. That could be to call a friend. That could be reading a chapter in a book. That could be drinking coffee on your porch. It could be many different things that wouldn't take a whole lot of time, but would be very intentional that this is the time for me. This is the time for myself so that I can be my best for others. And before, as Alexis mentioned, before every meeting or anything, just taking that 1 or 2 minutes, recentering yourself, putting the intentions of how you want to show up will increase your productivity, your intentionality, and your confidence. And your productivity is what we're talking about. It's going to get all of that in place for you so that you're showing up as your best self. You'll gain respect, influence from your peers, and you'll reach new levels of leadership. So really great tips. Thank you so much, Alexis.
Yes, thank you.
All right, so in our group, Women Who Lead, if you're not there and you're outside of the group watching us, you do want to check us out and join our group, Facebook group. It's Women Who Lead. You can just search. You do want to answer all the questions because our assistant is checking all those questions to make sure that this group is the right environment for you. And if you are already in this group and you're listening, welcome to the group. We're so excited that you're here. We'd love to meet you, love to speak to you. We've spoken to many of you already. If you haven't booked a call with us yet, you should. We would love to talk to you, hear what's going on. All of these corner office chats that we have is all based off of the conversations we've had with you. All right. So if there's something that you are looking for yourself, for your business, for anything as far as relationship, your life, your money, your spirituality, we will talk about any of those because we are committed to helping you in your leadership, in your life, and in your business. So book a call with us. Let's have a chat. Let's get to know each other and how we can support one another. Thanks so much, Alexis. We will see you all next week, Thursday at 1:30 Eastern. Bye.
Have a great weekend.